If you knew the top regrets retirees have about how they used their money, would you make different decisions today? In this video, we'll be revealing what 500 retirees told us they regret spending money on and how the purchases that they felt like earned rewards during retirement turned into financial burdens that slowly destroyed their freedom. During our conversations, we uncovered spending patterns no one talks about, the types of purchases that quietly derail financial stability in retirement. And that's why we're making this video today, to show you the specific spending categories retirees consistently regret and how avoiding these costly mistakes enables the retirement freedom that poor spending decisions destroy. Let's get right into it. One category rises to the top again and again as the biggest regret because it quietly drains cash flow year after year, the vacation home trap that becomes a money pit. For many retirees, the number one regret was the vacation home that was supposed to be their slice of paradise, but it quickly became a financial drain. Once you add up property taxes, insurance, repairs, and all the little surprises that come with owning a second property, the total costs can be staggering. According to Kiplinger, annual maintenance on a second home often runs 1% to 4% of the home's value. This means that a $600,000 vacation home could cost up to $24,000 in maintenance costs alone each year. That doesn't include the mortgage. For most retirees, second homes sit empty 6 to 9 months out of the year, while the bills keep showing up without fail. Over time, these hidden costs quietly drain $200,000 to $500,000 from retirement portfolios. That's money that could have funded travel and experiences instead of roof replacements and tax bills. What was once a dream of relaxation turns into the stress of managing a property from a distance. The fixed costs also lock you into going back to the same place year after year, even when you'd prefer the flexibility to travel elsewhere. Almost every retiree in this situation told us the same thing. They wish they had rented different locations instead of buying one expensive property that ended up limiting their freedom. And while vacation homes drain retirement cash flow continuously, this next purchase regret reveals how unused assets destroy retirement budgets. Another major regret we hear time and time again from retirees who bought RVs expecting to adventure, freedom, and cross-country travel end up watching these expensive vehicles just kind of sit in storage. Many people spend between $150,000 to $300,000 on the RV itself, thinking that it would be their centerpiece of their retirement travel plans, but the reality is actually very different. Between the challenges of driving something that large, the constant maintenance, the hassle of trip planning, and the physical demands of RV travel, most owners only end up using that RV 3 to 4 times a year. Meanwhile, the costs of the RV never stop. Retirees told us that this mistake typically drains $8,000 to $15,000 every year in depreciation, storage fees, insurance, and ongoing maintenance, whether the RV leaves the driveway or not. According to the Campers Inn RV, new RVs can lose as much as 20 to 30% of their value in the first year alone, and a well-maintained RV loses between 5 and 10% of its value each year after that initial drop. So why do RVs show up so frequently on a retiree regret list? Because the fantasy of constant travel eventually collides with the real-life limitations, things most buyers never really fully consider, including health limitations that makes long-term trips physically demanding, long distance that feels more exhausting than exciting to travel to, complicated routes and trip planning hassles, and the sheer work of ownership, like maintenance, storage, logistics, and the stress of driving something so large. Also, again, as usage drops, ownership frustration grows. Many owners realize that they could have funded a luxury hotel, flight, and memorable trip without any of the ownership headaches for a fraction of what they spent on the RV. Almost universally, retirees told us that they wish that they had rented an RV for the occasional trip instead of buying one that ended up becoming an expensive, underused liability. Hearing these stories over and over again is exactly why we focus so much on cash flow analysis when working with our clients. Because retirement isn't just about how much you have saved over the years. It's about coordinating tax efficiency, RMD control, and proper income withdrawal timing. And your spending decisions become much more clear when we map everything out back to your PIN or your portfolio income needs. Your PIN is your income gap, the amount that your investments have to produce to cover your expenses, both essential and lifestyle expenses, after you consider Social Security and other types of guaranteed income. And here's why that matters. If you buy something with ongoing expenses like a second home or an RV, that will increase your portfolio income needs because your portfolio has to cover these extra cash flow amounts every single month. Most of the retirees who regretted these purchases told us the same thing. They didn't realize how much these decisions would tighten their budget and limit their freedom of choice in retirement. When you understand your PIN, these regrets can become avoidable. And if you aren't sure how to calculate your PIN, click the link below and request a personalized retirement video where we can go over your situation and your unique portfolio income needs in greater detail. Let's keep going and talk about another popular spending regret, the luxury car payment that's eating retirement income. On paper, it feels like a well-deserved reward, right? A way to mark the start of a new phase of life. But in reality, it quickly becomes a monthly burden that can eat into other fixed income. Many retirees told us that they financed cars with $800 to $1,200 a month payments, which might not sound outrageous at first until you realize that that consumes 10 to 15% of a typical retirement income. And the costs don't end there. Remember, luxury vehicles typically come with higher insurance premiums, expensive maintenance, parts that require dealership service, and rapid depreciation. These additional costs can add another $400 to $600 per month. That's $1,200 to $1,800 a month going towards transportation alone. The vehicle of transportation, not even the cost of the gas. And for many retirees, that's more than their mortgage used to be. Plus, once car payments climb this high, many retirees are forced to cut back on the things that bring them joy, like travel, dining out, and family visits, all because so much cash flow is being diverted towards a vehicle. So why are luxury vehicles particularly damaging to retirement income? Well, because they often happen right at the start of retirement as some sort of symbolic treat yourself purchase, without considering the rest of your retirement income needs. Meanwhile, those car payments will continue for 5, 6, sometimes 7 years now, long after the excitement and new smell wears off. And as these payments stack month after month, year after year, that cash flow drain compounds. Now, before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about 2 more regrets that are brought up again and again. The oversized home maintenance burden in retirement. Essentially, what feels like a comfortable, familiar home slowly becomes an expensive, high-maintenance property that's far bigger than most retirees' needs. Many retirees are living in 3,000 to 4,000 square foot homes with $2,000 to $4,000 a month going towards mortgage, property taxes, utilities, and ongoing maintenance. And those costs continue month after month, even though many are only using a fraction of the space. Over the course of retirement, this decision can drain between $300,000 and $600,000 in excess housing expenses. That's money that could be funding family experiences, and it is instead going towards heating empty rooms and repairing aging systems. Why is staying in an oversized home so costly? Because maintenance needs increase as your home ages, just as your ability and desire to handle the physical work decreases. This forces many retirees to end up hiring out lawn care, snow removal, home repairs, and other upkeep that they themselves might have once handled. And while these housing costs stay fixed or even rise, discretionary spending shrinks. Retirees tell us repeatedly that they cut back on the very expenses that they hoped to enjoy in retirement because too much of their budget is tied up in home expenses that they actually no longer need. On top of that, thousands of dollars in home equity is locked inside that property, money that could be actively improving your lifestyle and reducing financial stress. Overall, retirees who downsize early report a noticeable improvement in lifestyle, all because they freed themselves from the burden of maintaining more space than they needed. Finally, let's talk about the last spending regret that comes up frequently, the renovation project that never ends. The home renovations that start with good intentions but end up consuming far more money than retirees ever expected. What begins as a simple upgrade often becomes a costly, drawn-out project that drains savings without improving day-to-day life. Kitchen remodels, bathroom upgrades, and additions frequently run $50,000 to $150,000. And that's before the inevitable cost overruns, right? For example, The 2025 Cost versus Value report from the Journal of Light Construction shows that a mid-range major kitchen remodel costs nearly $84,000, with about 50% recouped at resale, while an upscale major kitchen remodel runs about $173,000 and returns just 37% of that investment. These projects rarely pay off, financially or lifestyle-wise. The money flows into the house while portfolio balances quietly shrink, and the amount adds up fast, often equal to years of travel, hobbies, and lifetime experiences that they wish they had invested in instead. Why are renovation projects so often regretted? Because they almost always exceed the budget, take far longer than you're planned, and they create months of disruption and stress in the home. Ultimately, retirees realize that many of the improvements benefit future homebuyers more than they would benefit their own lifestyle today. Meanwhile, the cash used for these projects comes directly out of retirement savings, the same savings designed to support decades of freedom and enjoyment. Okay, so now that you've seen what retirees regret spending on, let's look at the comprehensive spending framework that will help protect your retirement freedom. After interviewing hundreds of retirees, one theme becomes unmistakably clear. Retirement freedom isn't necessarily destroyed by a lack of savings, it's destroyed by poor spending and withdrawal decisions. That's why you need to have a retirement planning process to help you avoid the mistakes that drained hundreds of thousands of dollars from the retirees that we spoke with. Instead of looking only at the initial purchase price, make sure to evaluate every major decision based on its ongoing cost. Consider the monthly, quarterly, and annual cash flow drain that continues long after the initial purchase. When you evaluate spending this way, the real cost becomes clear. So how do you know if a purchase supports both lifestyle and enjoyment and long-term financial security? Every significant spending decision should pass what we call the supports lifestyle and protects the future test. If it improves your quality of life and fits comfortably within your long-term plan, great. However, if it strains your cash flow, locks you into rigid costs, or threatens future security, well, then it doesn't pass. And this is again where your PIN comes in. When major purchases are run through your portfolio income needs in the spending framework inside of the 365 retirement process, you can see whether the decision will allow you to enjoy your retirement over the long haul or if it will slowly undermine your financial stability. This disciplined, thoughtful approach is what prevents the regrets that reduced financial freedom for so many retirees that we interviewed. Because when you spend intentionally, choosing experiences, flexibility, and alignment with your PIN, you protect both your lifestyle today and your financial security for decades to come. Now that you understand what 500 retirees regret spending money on and how vacation homes, RVs, luxury vehicles, and more drain retirement savings while providing minimal lifestyle benefit, you can avoid spending mistakes that destroy retirement freedom. If you want help building a retirement spending plan that avoids these regrets, click the link below to book a call where we will go through your specific situation and show you exactly how to optimize your retirement strategy. Till next time, take care.